So if you want to be a disciplined, healthy person, but then the actions you took today prove that that is incorrect, you're going to find yourself frustrated, you're going to find yourself upset, not present, chaotic inside, miserable, stressed, low energy, because you have this internal conflict. You have the person you want to be versus the person that you actually are. That is how you weaken your identity. You can forge your identity and create your identity and strengthen it with the actions that you take. You can also weaken the identity you want with the actions you take. So, hi everyone, welcome to the Rising Father podcast. I'm Chris Rodack, and today the title of this is Breaking Free from Complacency. And I've got a lot here to go through in terms of breaking free. Complacency hits fathers around 30s, usually, from what I've found. This is all anecdotal data from the hundreds of applications I've had for our Men of Fire program, from the hundreds of calls I've been on, from people I've known and guys in my program, and just from Rising Father. It's around the 30s is when it starts to hit. Because you remember being, in college, high school, attacking life, even in your low, like for me, it was low 20s. And then you get a job, you get married, you start to have kids, you start to give yourself some more excuses, more responsibilities start to pile up, more bills pile up. And those take precedent at the time over taking care of yourself. And then whenever you stop taking care of yourself, you lose your discipline. It ends up infecting every other area of your life. So complacency is the enemy of leadership. It's the enemy of leadership. Your family deserves the best version of you, not the comfortable version of you. And this isn't going to be a, feel good, tell you you're okay, things don't need to change kind of podcast here. This is going to be me challenging fathers to become their best. That's the kind of brand Rising Father is. I just saw this morning, big dad brand, giving the message of radical self-acceptance. I am against that. Rising Father is firmly against radical self-acceptance. I'm about radical self-transformation, about becoming the best you can be. Not self-acceptance, self-transformation. You deserve to be your best self. You deserve discipline. You deserve to push yourself. That's what Rising Father's about. So and then your family, they deserve the best version of you. They don't deserve the version of you that sleeps in, is comfortable, and doesn't want to, do anything. So whenever you start to do this, momentum is built through disciplined action, not waiting for motivation. That's going to be a theme that's going to come up. So momentum is built through disciplined action, not waiting for motivation. What you have to do is sacrifice temporary comfort for long-term strength and legacy. I remember when I was breaking myself out of that fog, working as a teacher, and I didn't want to work there anymore. I was in a body I don't want to have anymore. My relationships weren't as strong as they were. Breaking myself out of that took hours and hours and money and time. It was just painful and suffering. It was not radical self-acceptance. If I accepted myself, if I would have been following one of those dad brands that said, you don't need to be the fit dad, you don't need to be the strong dad, you don't need to be the disciplined dad, you just need to feel good. If I would have followed that instructions, I would have stayed miserable. I would have searched for the things that made me feel good, and I would have stayed miserable. And I never would have left that job. I never would have gotten in shape. Sometimes you have to feel pain. Sometimes you must feel suffering. Sometimes you just need somebody to give you a little kick in the ass and say, no, you are better than this. That's what Rising Father's about. And there's times where I'll post content that I know, like the one I posted this morning. I was like, I know this isn't going to go viral, but I know people need to hear it. I could just post viral lovey-dovey reels all day and get 1 million followers, but then who would that actually help? Nobody. That's not what Rising Father's about. And then I'm going to talk about identity hacking, and that's shedding your complacent identity and forging the leader. So, let's talk about the silent killer of potential, and that's just complacency. It is robbing you. It's robbing your family, and we're just going to draw the line today. So I'm Chris Rodack, Rising Father. We're about leadership, discipline, becoming the man your family needs. So first off, defining the enemy. What complacency actually costs you? So what does complacency actually cost you? If I'm going to be somebody who radically accepts my current situation, and that's what I view as complacency, it's telling yourself that you can't do anything. It's telling yourself, all right, see some people say they're ready, feeling good. Awesome. Love your content. Keep it up. Awesome, guys. So what does radical self-acceptance and complacency mean? It means that you're telling yourself everything's okay and I don't need to change. When deep down you know you could be more. Deep down you know you could be more. And this is not for everybody. There are some people who, their regular vibration and energy level they go through life is not one where they do well with stress, and they have to just maintain status quo or they start to crumble. This is for people who know they can be more and are willing to put in the effort and work to become more. So this is for you guys. Let me get back to where I was here. So I was talking about what complacency actually costs you. It means skipped workouts that turn into years of neglect. You say, you've been to the gym 7 days in a row, let's say, and then on the 8th day, you say, well, I'm going to skip this one day. And then that one day turns into 3 years, right? Or you tell yourself, that's kind of an extreme example because you should take days off from the gym. But let's say instead of one day, let's say you've worked out for 2 months and then you go on vacation and you say, for this entire week of vacation, I'm not going to work out once. During that week of vacation, you actually change your identity into a person who doesn't work out. It's not a free pass. You have to pay a price for everything. And, you could easily gain 10 pounds. So we went to Disney World a couple weeks ago with my family. Me and my wife worked out every single day. Put it on my stories. We're working out today. And we also ate healthy. So we ate healthy, worked out every single day. So my identity didn't change. My wife's identity didn't change. In the past, I have taken days off, weeks off, deserved breaks that did turn into years of not working out. It's also the good enough attitude. You say, well, I'm good enough. Things are good enough. My relationship is good enough. I'm a good enough father. The job I'm doing at work is good enough. You tell yourself that, and then your ambition starts to slowly die. You're no longer in that desperation survival mode where you're willing to do anything to move ahead. You're saying, no, I'm just good enough. It's also passively scrolling instead of connecting with your wife or kids. It's also complacency. And we're talking about, what does complacency as a father actually look like? What does radical self-acceptance and not pushing yourself actually look like? It's like, no. It could be scrolling your phone while your wife wants to connect with you. You're like, no one should tell me that I shouldn't be not looking at my phone. This is okay for me. And your child is looking at you, your wife is looking at you, wanting that connection, wanting your presence, and you're just passively scrolling. So complacency looks like passively scrolling instead of connecting with your wife or kids. It means the good enough attitude. It's skipped workouts that turn into years of neglect. It's letting your standards slip and modeling mediocrity instead of strength. So complacency isn't just laziness. It's an abdication of your leadership. Your family sees it and your family feels it. And I am talking to you about this and teaching lessons based on personal transformation of myself and personal experience. I made a post the other day showing real clearly what I came from personally. I came from a complacent state. I was able to rip myself out of that state by punishing myself. I went from sleeping in before work till like 6:45 every day to waking up at 3:45 every day. It was hell at the beginning. It was painful. But I needed that. I needed a shock to my system. Whenever I was complacent like that, I still spent a lot of time with my family. I still took my kids everywhere. We went on hikes, we played, I still worked out with them, but I wasn't holding myself to a high standard. So I was giving them everything I had, but everything I had to give them wasn't enough, in my view. Everything I had wasn't as much as everything I have now, because I've become more. Because I have more energy, more presence, more skills, more wisdom. I'm stronger, I'm healthier, I have better habits. Everything I'm giving them is more now than everything I was giving them back then. So I could tell myself and pat myself on the back then and say, well, Chris, you were giving your family everything you had. Great. I still don't get a sticker for that. I still need to send myself to the forge and become more if I want to give my family more. If I want to give them a legacy, I need to learn how to make more money. If I want to leave them with memories of me energetic and confident and being present, I need to fix my habits. All of these things, you either accept it or you change it. So the foundation is picking one action. And I mentioned this yesterday on the live as well. You know, momentum isn't magic. Okay, it's not like something that the universe hands to you. It's physics. An object in motion stays in motion. I give the example all the time to my guys in the Men of Fire program about a snowball. I talk to them about the dangers of giving yourself a break and telling yourself, I deserve blank. Well, we have people in our group who've given up alcohol, who had a massive alcohol problem, like tons of guys. This isn't an AA group, but this is what we do. We give up our vices and the things that are holding us back so we can be a better father and show up better. But I've had multiple guys who've said, I'm going to quit drinking for 12 months. We have guys quit drinking for 12 months. And then, they keep going. And sometimes they'll say, well, I did it for 12 months. Should I let myself have some drinks this weekend? And I say, no, don't do it. You've got so much momentum building right now. You're like a huge snowball rolling downhill. If you stop that thing, it is very hard to get it back moving. It's so hard to push that snowball once it has so much impact and weight. But it's also hard to stop it. So as long as you don't sabotage yourself, you don't need to try as hard. You've got a really heavy, big snowball rolling downhill. You don't have to try hard to get that thing to keep moving because it has momentum. But if you stop it, it's very hard. I'll have guys come in, crush the program for 3 straight months, lose 40, 50 pounds, best shape they've ever been since high school and college. And then they'll be tempted, because they feel good again, they'll be tempted to cut themselves some slack and go back to doing the things that put them there in the first place. That's why the Men of Fire program isn't like other people's 90-day shreds or whatever, because this is what matters. Self-sabotage, identity, and perspective is what actually matters. So I'm grateful and I'm glad these guys go through these things and have these questions, because it's my opportunity to coach them through it. Say, no, back in the day before you were with us, that's what you would do. Is you would make some progress, you'd say, I deserve it, and you'd go back. That's why you were stuck in a hamster wheel and a roller coaster for 2 decades. We don't do that anymore. You must see yourself as the person who's healthy and disciplined, not like this is something you just did one time. And I tell them that. I say, the Men of Fire program, this is not a notch on your belt. You are here to become a new person, not just something you can say you did one time. So like I was saying, momentum isn't magic, it's physics. An object in motion stays in motion, but you need to initiate the force. You have to get the thing moving. So here's the strategy, all right? And we can call it like the non-negotiable strike is what we can call it to make it stick in your head. So forget fixing everything at once. Pick one specific daily action, something small, but keep it non-negotiable. Talked about this yesterday. One simple thing. Small, but non-negotiable. All right, I put this on my Facebook on the wall. I said, what is one promise you're going to keep to yourself this week? One guy commented who's in the Ignite 30 program, and he said, I'm going to work out. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days this week. I'm going to keep that promise to myself. Great. Here's examples. 10 push-ups when you wake up, 5 minutes of focused breathing, putting the phone away for the first 30 minutes when you're home. As soon as you lay your bed, or you lay your head down whenever it's bedtime and just you and your wife laying next to each other saying, all right, for these 15 minutes, we're not going to look at our phones, and we're going to actually talk to each other. So it's not like we're just college roommates sharing a bed, which would be weird, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's like we're actually trying to connect. So here's what I want you to understand. This isn't about the size of the action. It's about the discipline of doing it no matter what. It's proof to yourself that you can execute. That's what it is. It's building your identity. It's what identity hacking means. It's proving to yourself who you are. And once you truly believe who you are, then you can start to actually make changes. So this is the very first step in hacking your identity, is proving you are a man of action, not excuses. Let's talk a minute on identity hacking and what that really means and identity. So there's a lot of books on this subject about building the identity. You know, James Clear talks about it, Jim Rohn talks about it, Tony Robbins, Maxwell Maltz. There's a lot of people who talk about identity building. But then what is identity? It is how you see yourself. Okay, it is how you view yourself. If you were to write a story about yourself, if I gave you an assignment and I said, write a one-paragraph story about the person that you are as if somebody else was reading it, what would that say? Who do you believe you are? Would you describe yourself as confident? Would you describe yourself as funny, as energetic, as strong? Or would you say, no, I'm complacent, I'm sloppy, I'm lazy, I suck the energy out of the room? Those are two very different things. Who you believe you are determines what you do. That is why with my son and daughter, we work out every day. That's why I don't force them to go to the gym. Like Nathan this morning told me, or last night, they're on Easter break, they have 5 days off. He said, Dad, I don't think I want to go to the gym for the next 5 days. I want to just sleep in and hang out on my break. I said, okay, that's fine. We'll pick it back up after break. If I force him to go, he's going to rebel against me. That's when you push on something, he pushes back. I want him to be pulled to go to the gym because I want him to see himself as somebody who goes to the gym. The point isn't perfection. The point is identity. The point is he wants to go to the gym, work out. Lauren, we do pull-ups every single day. We've been like 200 some days doing pull-ups every single day. She sees herself as that. She just had CrossFit last night. There's 20 some kids doing a CrossFit workout. She got first place. She came home, couldn't wait to tell me she sees herself as a strong, athletic, badass girl. So the things they do, the decisions they make, are based on how they see themselves. So that's also why before my kids go to sleep, I ask them about their identity. This is just a regular exercise. That's how much I believe it's important in forming the kind of decisions and results we get in life. I'll say, you know, what did you do today that proves you're strong? What did you do today that proves you're friendly? And ask them about who they are so they can have that concrete identity, then they live up to that identity. It's very, very important. So that is what identity is. You can forge your identity and create your identity and strengthen it with the actions that you take. You can also weaken the identity you want with the actions you take. So if you want to be a disciplined, healthy person, but then the actions you took today prove that that is incorrect, you're going to find yourself frustrated. You're going to find yourself upset, not present, chaotic inside, miserable, stressed, low energy, miserable, because you have this internal conflict. You have the person you want to be versus the person that you actually are, and the person in the actions you're taking. That is how you weaken your identity. However, if you say, I'm a disciplined, strong person, and you wake up when the alarm goes off, you go to the gym, you don't deviate from your nutrition plan, then you could look back on your day and say, no, I am a disciplined person. This identity, the person I believe I am, is true. Then you can sleep easy, be present, and you gain confidence and strength. And you also develop inner self-belief for the next thing you try to do because you've kept your promise to yourself. If you're still with me, then I know you're somebody who really wants to make progress in this, and you really believe in becoming the best person you can be, so respect to you. We talked about identity, talked about, breaking through complacency, and then, well, what's next? So you know the information, what do you do next? Well, do the actual exercise. A lot of times people will listen to information, take it in, and then not do anything. Most people do not need more information. Most people need to act on the information they already have. That's like the reel I made this morning was, it was advice. It was framed as advice to coaches, but it's advice to fathers. I was talking about, and I go to a huge gym, and there's a lot of coaches there, and they talk to me, and a lot of them are very frustrated. Their clients are paying them for private coaching, and then they don't show up. They won't come to the gym. Like, I've talked to coaches who are there at the gym. I'm like, "What's going on, man? What are you doing here? Are you working out?" They're like, "No, I'm supposed to be meeting my client, but they just didn't come. They're still in bed." So the person who's still in bed, who hired the private coach, did that because they wanted that individual attention. They wanted more knowledge. They thought that was going to be their key to finally breaking free. Was, okay, he's going to show me exactly how to do the bicep curl. It's never it, because you can always just stay home. You can always just choose not to do the thing. It's an internal battle. If you have not learned to overcome yourself, and you have not learned to be your own coach, and you have not learned how to stop yourself from sabotaging yourself, then that's not going to help you. That's why the training you need to do and the coaching you needs to be surrounded by how we can help you overcome yourself, turn you into your best ally instead of your biggest detractor. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that you just can't get yourself to do it. So you hear the information. Okay, well, now it's time to actually act. So I talked about doing the non-negotiable act this week. You want something to do? Do that. Do the non-negotiable act. So pick one thing and actually do it. So just commit. Say, and if you want to DM it to me, feel free to DM it to me. Say, this is what I'm doing. Good. Then at least one person knows you're doing it. So if you felt this, if you need structure and accountability to truly break free and rebuild, then that is what Ignite 30 is for. It's a 30-day habit and identity fatherhood reset to reclaim your fire. It's habit replacement, systems, perspective shift. We've full workout programs, teach you how to do nutrition, all of that, journaling prompts. It's everything we talk about in a 30-day self-paced course format with live recorded coaching sessions from me. If you're a guy who's ready for the next level of leadership and brotherhood, then Men of Fire is where that real transformation happens. Ignite 30 is a great place to get your feet wet, to see what things are about. If you're ready to jump in and be held radically accountable and connect with guys a lot, then that's what Men of Fire is all about. So all of that is in the bio link if you're interested in that, or you can DM me. Remember that your potential is limitless, but your complacency will cage it. You have to choose action. You have to choose leadership. You have to choose to rise because your family is counting on you. There's a podcast. Let me just advertise the podcast that just came out. There's a podcast that just came out with me and Nathan. It's probably one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. I've done a couple with him, done 3, but this one was the best one. He's just free flowing. He's comfortable. He's talking, and he really dives deep into the hellish landscape of elementary kids and cell phones and how scary it is to see what's happening to kids. Like, he really does a deep dive into that. He talks about going to the gym with me early in the morning. He talks about kids in the back of the bus dealing snacks and all kind of stuff, but it's a really good podcast, so go ahead and check that one out. All right, see you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that, and take some action today.